the sum total of the bad things in my life has kind of gotten down to this bathtub drain thing of my husband snores horribly. I mean, like a freight train, going through the bedroom, waking me out of a sound sleep, and I love him dearly, but I lay there really angry with him. And then I can't get back to sleep, and I nudge him, and I kick him, and I shove him, and he's still snoring, and then I get mad because he's sleeping and I'm not. Give me a process for that.
Do you think that the way you feel about the snoring is purely your response to the snoring? Or do you think that the way you feel about the snoring is indicative of other things? In other words, do you think that it is purely about the snoring?
Yeah, because I'm pretty happy until I get woken out of a sound sleep in the middle of the night.
When you awaken and you are then angry because he is snoring, doesn't that feel to you like that has gone further than the snoring? In other words, it doesn't feel like there's anything else involved in it?
Well, no, then it does. Then it's, well, how dare he? And if he really loved me, he wouldn't interrupt my sleep. And yeah, at that point it starts to grow.
Now, how long has this been going on?
Years.
And do you remember the first time you were aware of his snoring?
Yes.
Was it the first night?
No, we've been together 20 years. It was probably about 5 years or so ago. Basically, after all the other things that I needed to clean up in our lives were cleaned up. Or cleaned up in my life, anyway.
So are you saying to us that the snoring was happening and just not bothering you?
No.
Or the snoring is just beginning?
I think the snoring just started.
You think so?
Well, then maybe I slept through it before.
Well, the reason that we are having fun with you about this a little bit is because it's really a classic example of something that's very big and loud and uncomfortable in your experience, and we're asking you to ignore it. And you say, well, some things are easier to ignore than others, and we want to point out to you that some things are easier to ignore at some times than others. And sometimes you're on a more raw and ragged edge where things bother you more, and sometimes you are more in vibrational harmony with who you are and things don't bother you at all. Jerry would tease Esther that he would watch her on an airplane with engines roaring and people talking and all kinds of things going on around, and yet she's lying in a hotel room in Virginia Beach one night and couldn't sleep because there was a little whistle in the air conditioner. And he said, this is illogical. I've seen you sleep through so much more than this. Why is this bothering you so much? And Esther couldn't identify it at the time, but it wasn't that was bothering her. It's not an easy thing, and certainly there are others who are sleeping with snorers or others who are sensitive about the idea of snoring that are not going to like what we're going to say next, but that has never stopped us before, and so we're going to say it anyway, and that is that the way you are responding to your environment is much more about your vibrational mindset than anything else. Esther recalls many years ago when she was first beginning to receive us, and we were talking to her about adjusting vibration, and she was in a dentist's chair having a filling drilled, and she was feeling great discomfort with the vibration of the drill. And we said to Esther, while we were encouraging her to relax, we will help you adjust your vibration so that you will not notice the vibration of the drill so much. And as we adjusted her vibration to the vibration of the drill changed from something that was annoying her to the point that she could barely stand it to something that was actually so pleasant she was sorry when it stopped. When you decide that something should not be and you get yourself in this resistant state, it's like it amplifies everything about it, and so that's what's waking you up more than anything. It's a misalignment of your own energies. Now, many would say, oh, come on, Abraham, you can call it a misalignment of energies if you want to, but listen to the racket the guy is making. And what we are wanting you to say to yourself is, I am really wanting to get so good at aligning with who I am that I don't need to ask any outside circumstances to be changed. And the reason that we ask you if there's any possibility that there is anything other than just the sound of the snoring that is bothering you is because we know that that is true. And we're not talking about disharmony in relationships. We're talking about a sort of tenacious decision that many of our human friends make that goes something like, I'm going to get my environment the way I want my environment to be. I'm going to wrestle my environment into perfection, and then I'm going to have a good feeling response to my environment. And we think that this dear one of yours, the two of you are so connected long before this physical experience. This is something that he promised he would help you to discover, and that is that you are not here to ask the surrounding circumstances to acquiesce in order to soothe you into ease. You have come forth knowing that it is from the inside out that you create, and as you adjust the vibration from the inside out, everything externally adjusts to that. Truly.
He's going to love listening to this CD.
And so some things that you can do. Now just try this. As you are awake and he is asleep, notice what a good example of sleeping he is offering. And think about that. Here he is. Look at this example of sleeping, and then focus upon what that means. He's put his problems aside. He's not tossing and turning. He's doing a good job of segment intending. He's allowing himself to do what this moment is about. He's so at one that the rhythm of his body is sort of taken over. The snoring is really an indication of contentment, not unlike the purring of the cat.
I pet my husband.
You could, or you could get into the rhythm of the snoring. You could actually snore in harmony if you wanted. In other words, Esther sometimes when she is wanting to sleep will listen for some sound that she can harmonize with. She will listen for a sound in the air conditioning, something that she can focus upon, and as she focuses upon it, just the focus itself is a sort of detachment from other things. In other words, you could literally take the thing that you are feeling most annoyance about, focus upon it, and use it as something that causes your mind to pause. People don't realize it. It is not even really something that is spoken about much, but we will speak it here, and then you will begin to hear it in other places as well. This rhythm of snoring, there is something very deep about the sleeping that's happening under those conditions, and there is something vibrationally beneficial to the being who is snoring. In other words, there are positive ramifications of it. He is receiving far more positive ramifications from the reverberation that is going through his body than you are receiving negative ramifications
well,
from.
then I want to snore too.
Or get into the rhythm of his snoring. In other words, get into the rhythm of the vibration of it. Let the benefit that is there be benefit to you too.
Then next time the dog will be in this chair going, my parents are snoring. But she's already in that vibration.
She is, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
You don't see her alarmed about it
Not in the
or
least.
being kept awake by it. Yes. And so what did we just accomplish here? There are a number of things that we want to recap. First is, don't ask, no matter how annoying they are, outside circumstances to change in order for you to feel better. You decide, even with something as big as that you're going to feel better first. And the benefits that will come from that personal acknowledgement will so far outweigh any struggle that you've felt in the process. You will be amazed at the benefit that will come from that. It's part of the creating from the inside out. Almost everyone has some version of this where they say, if that were different, I would feel better. And we don't doubt it, but you have to find a way to feel better before that can be different. And that's why we're saying to you that it is a progressive thing. In other words, something bothers you a little and you focus upon it, and it bothers you more and you focus upon it, till you literally begin eliciting more and more of it. You have sleep patterns too. And sometimes we know, because we watch you, sometimes you sleep through really loud snoring, and sometimes very mild snoring awakens you. Esther laughs at Jerry. She can be in the bed in the motor coach, it's a small space, with the television on, and Jerry will be sleeping soundly. He will have no awareness whatsoever that Esther has the television on, and she will be enjoying her program, and it isn't until she turns it off that he wakes up. It is the stopping of the sound sometimes that wakes him up rather than the sound itself. And so you say, what is going on with this? In other words, what is it that makes the difference between whether we are awakened or not? And we say it is far less about the outside circumstances that you think and far more about the alignment of energies within you. If you make a decision that something should not be, in other words, let's say your faucet is dripping and it's been annoying you, I mean, you've been trying to get someone to fix it and they won't fix it, something that you would really have to listen for even to hear it, that faucet could keep you awake. And it is not about sound.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now what? We come back to you.